British Columbia for the sprint event in Women's World Cup Luge. This is the second women's event of the weekend. I'm Bree Schaff, pleased to be joined by American national team athlete Johnny Gustafson. Johnny, we saw some shakeups in the men's sprint earlier. Do you think that that was because of conditions?
It's definitely a possibility. I think so, because yesterday it was ice was a little bit harder. The temperature's dropping a little bit now, is getting more tonight, so that might change a little bit for the women. But again, this is both these fields and the doubles as well has just been so competitive this year. It's really, it's good to see. It
certainly feels colder. A look at our track. Johnny, explain to the audience how this sprint event is different for the women, where that timing ice starts.
So instead of starting right at the top of the ramp like it normally does, it's not going to start until after their first curve, curve 7. So what this is going to do is take away that kind of start factor a little bit. So athletes with a faster start aren't going to get as much of an advantage. And this is more of a track for the bottom gainers, as we say.
Here's a look at our start list. We are going in reverse order from the top 15 finishers yesterday. So the first athlete will be Madeline Egle of Austria, on down to the winner of yesterday's race, Tatiana Ivanova of Russia. It will be an interesting battle for the medals, and Johnny, as you've mentioned, anything goes here in these sprint races. You take out the start essentially, and it's just a battle for speed.
Yeah, it is, and you know, it's good to see all these different athletes, all these young athletes, and there's all 4 Russian athletes actually made it into this, which is you don't see too often, even with.
We keep talking about how strong the Austrian program is. The Russian program is crushing it right now.
Yeah, the Russians are doing great. Germany always does great. It's good to, I mean, it's good for them. It's definitely good to, you know, have more people, especially in the sprint. Starting off with Madeline Egle. She had a bit of a rough time in her second run yesterday. It was good to see that she made the sprint. So she'll be hoping to have more of a run like her first run.
Today.
Definitely.
One of the athletes looking for a redemption run, riding the luge barricade. Do you guys call that the bobsled barricade? We always call it the luge barricade.
Well, we just call it the barricade.
Oh, the barricade. Simple luge. I like it.
Exactly.
67.8 kilometers an hour.
So that's definitely going to be a factor, but the fact that this is a sprint and that start isn't going to count as much. It won't be as detrimental as it would be in a regular race. So obviously she's the first one down. We have no one to compare to, but we'll see how she'll hold up. A little bit of a high line there.
She's looking confident, laying it back, 132.1 kilometers an hour. Madeline Egle of Austria through and down, 28.048.
She's able to take that tap at the end there and just keep it running, keep it going, not really worrying about it.
30-second race, that is wild. The start is, of course, lower here in Whistler after the tragic accident in 2010. The women now race from what was the junior start, the men from Dahlman start. Ooh, hanging it up there.
Yeah, you see, it looked like she possibly hit a little too early there. Luckily, she was able to minimize that, because that could have sent her very high on the end of 15 and late into 16. She was able to get on that very well.
Great recovery.
You always hate to see the red. Just an extra little thing that you don't want to do.
Is the red full inspection?
No, red and blue would be full inspection. The red is just, you know, they get your weight, get temps, make sure the sled's all good, but they don't fully take it apart.
The first of 2 Canadians, McKenna Oxen.
No, a little bit of an iffy start there. She was able to minimize it and it didn't mess her up too much. But once again, hopefully that won't affect it too much.
She has the top speed so far.
Kilometers per hour starting speed here for
Last one just looked nice and smooth. Good.
This seems like it'd be a great opportunity of a race for the young Canadian athletes.
For sure. I mean, this is their home track. It's the fact that they're in it. They get 2 races really on their home track.
They're still working on their strength at the start.
Exactly. I mean, and any time you're racing at World Cups at, you know, a level such this, really throwing her head back there.
Finish. No head in sight for Canada's Hodgson, but she falls behind Austria's Madeline Egle.
I mean, so she's a little disappointed with that run, but once again, these young Canadians racing on the World Cup Tour, it's always good to see. See the start here, just a little wobbly back and forth, wasn't so sure on the settle.
Ooh, barely missed that wall. A great save. She's hoping to pass at least 1 or 2 sliders. 13 remain here in the women's sprint race. On the handles, Switzerland's Natalie Mack.
that first good start that we're seeing getting through. And we'll be able to compare this to Madeline with the speed in that first split to see how much those little bit of a rough starts affected. A little bit faster, almost a kilometer. She is in the red still.
On the way down through 11, interval
And a little bit of lower line, looking good.
0.08 of a second.
I'm expecting her to gain a little bit of time here. That was good, but she's losing it.
Beautiful line into 16. Hanging on through the finish. 200s, it's not enough. Natalie Mogg falls behind Madeline Egley.
Madeline's going to be happy to move up any number of spots she can. A little unhappy with her run.
This will be the best finish so far this season for Austria's Madeline Egley. She finished 15th yesterday. Prior to that, 20th was her best in Lake Placid.
She's definitely going to be happy with that. Hopefully get a couple more spots, have a better finish.
And have a merry holiday. Our second Canadian of the day, Carolyn Maxwell.
Carolyn actually has a very good start, which is good to see in one so young. So unfortunately, it's going to take her away from a little bit here, but it doesn't take away from it entirely.
And we will not be getting a start time to judge by because this is, of course, a flying start. We will get her speed. Clock is running 68.6 kilometers an hour. Same speed as Natalie Mogg.
Kilometers an hour faster than the men.
Now, these first couple curves for the women are actually sometimes a little bit harder because they don't have nearly the speed and pressure that they're used to. They're a little bit lower than everything else. And so those top few curves are crucial and very hard to do sometimes.
Maxwell behind by just 1/100th of a second. Oh no, big skid at the finish. She's gonna fall. 4th place for Carolyn Maxwell of Canada. She drops just behind her teammate, McKenna Hodgson. Bummer of a finish there.
You can tell she came out there with a little bit of pressure. She tried to hold it, but it looked like she just brought her shoulders up a little bit, and that caused the sled to lose that weight on the back end.
Like you were saying, Johnny, it's so hard when you're coming from that lower start. These corners are all built for the speed. They're designed for the speed from the top.
Yes.
And when you're not going off the top, that means you have to make big adjustments because what would have been 1 pressure now is 2.
Yeah, exactly, and all the little things that they have to deal with there.
Feeling the pressure on the handles. Latvia's Kadia Apriod.
So again, going through a little bit of these slower speeds, these first couple curves. Very crucial here, but we're seeing green right away, which is good to see. A good speed off the top as well. Nice line, a little bit of a loop, I believe, is pretty good in there in 11. You want to have a little bit more height. A little later in 14, able to hold it down though.
This has been a really tight race so far. Mere 100th separating each competitor. Beautiful line tugging back, stretching out. 1st place for Kadia Apriod, new leader.
She still does not seem happy with her run though. Maybe there's something we couldn't see a little bit, or the small problems we saw weren't as small as we thought. Good start there, making that nice and parallel into curve 7.
This will be one of Kandia's best finishes of the season, tying if she holds that spot. She might move up. 10th place for the Lake Placid sprint for Kandia. As we go back to the top for our first German athlete, Cheyenne Rosenthal.
First of all 4, which all made it into the Sprint Cup.
Classic.
Yeah, Cheyenne, her first year on the World Cup circuit, really being able to throw down some pretty good runs. They have a lot to live up to, these young German girls.
Just 19 years old. She was the 2019 Junior World Champion. Best speed.
69.1, fastest speed we've seen at the arch so far. That
this is looking good run so far. A little bit of a loop gets her over into 12 there. She's making this look smooth and easy. She's just throwing it back. little later into 16, but nothing bad.
32.9 kilometers an hour stretching out. Rosenthal, your new leader from Germany.
Almost a tenth ahead. Really throwing it down.
That's the largest margin we've seen.
Yeah, she was, you know, the Germans obviously are known to have good runs.
Margins.
Yeah, good margins. Yeah. Their sleds really, their sleds and them just always have been able to do well. But she was making that look easy. She was calm the whole way down. Just another day for her.
And unlike bobsled and skeleton, there is a Junior World Cup Tour. How long did you spend on that Junior World Cup Tour racing before making it to World Cup?
I believe I was on it for 3, maybe 4 years. And it's good to have that tour so young, just because you can really get the feel of what it's like being on World Cup Tour.
Great practice for the big show. In the track right now, Latvia's Elisa Seltzer.
Lisa, one of the veteran women. Really one of the veteran women on the circuit still.
29 years old. She has 14 years experience. Will that show as she tries to climb out of the hole here behind Rosenthal? 600s. Oh no! She'll fall back. Wow, a lot. So much time there in the finish corner and that uphill straightaway into the finish line. Nearly 1500s behind. That's a 4th place for now for Elisa Seltzer.
Like you were saying earlier, Brie, coming from that last curve, it's such a long way to that finish. You really have to throw it down. You can see she went late into 16 there, built a little bit too much pressure, and just wasn't able to hold it coming out.
And when I asked Raluca Strama-Tararu at the strength of that steer earlier on in the show today, I said, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard do you steer in 16 if you're late? And she said 11, every time.
Yes. Yeah, going late into that curve, it's always jarring. You know, you can tell in 15 when it's going to happen. You just have to prepare yourself.
On the line, Russia's Katerina Katnikova. Would you call that one of the highest G-force corners in the world right now?
I would say so, especially if
the
you go in.
The old Ecobahn of Koenigsegg.
Yes.
Until they blew it up.
Yeah, that Segulda curve 15.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The curve that's after a ski jump.
Yes.
That'll get you every time.
But then definitely Whistler competes with it. And again, especially if you go in late.
68.8 kilometers an hour.
68.8
She doesn't have the speed of our leader, Cheyenne Rosenthal, falling behind.
That's as close as it can get.
Barely behind. Run's looking pretty good. But again, with the sprint, you can't have pretty good. You really got to have perfect. That was
in early into 16.
Good.
She's got 100. Can she do a beautiful line out of 16? No, 400. Second position behind Cheyenne Rosenthal, who holds on to the lead. Katerina Katnikova, second place.
Cheyenne really was able to gain speed and time at the bottom. That's going to be hard to really break into. That's a good run, though. Definitely got to be happy with that. Even falling back one spot from where she would like to be, but
still a great finish for the Russian athlete that's having an awesome season. 2 fifth-place finishes kick things off. As we go back to the top of the hill for Johnny Gustafson's teammate, Emily Sweeney.
Emily's been having a pretty good week of training here. You know, not going as fast as she would like, but again, this one-run bomb, you can see already she's going to be throwing that position back, really just trying to give it all you got. Go really just try and fly.
Great speed, ties our top speed.
69.1 matching, that's a tie for the
This is looking good.
Start speed.
So far, nice level line through 11, getting over into 12. 400s ahead already.
American Emily Sweeney has 400s to work with.
Great run there. Now 7 100s up.
15 and 16 looking good. A little later in 16, but nothing bad. Coming out of there, very nice.
Throwing down 200s ahead. New leader, Emily Sweeney. It looked like, hopefully we can see that again, it looked like she was really jamming on that steer in 16 on the second pressure.
Yeah, it looked like she may not have gotten that first pressure steer as much as she would like. You can see she dipped a little bit and came up. Like you said, really had to give a good steer there.
Emily Sweeney can now do no worse than 7th place.
I had a little skid into 16. I was so early to 15. I've never been that early in my life. But
on the line, Italy's Andrea Vetter.
That's good for Emily. We know now where she lost a little bit of that time. She had a bit more of a lead. Luckily, still coming down in first. But that little bit of skid we heard her say in 16 might catch up with her.
Vetter is our top speed so far. She had a great first heat in the women's race yesterday, but fell back in the second heat, but already behind Emily Sweeney. You know, sometimes when you finally do a corner right, that throws off the next corner because you've managed that mistake all week long.
Exactly. It definitely doesn't happen. This is looking pretty good. And again, Emily lost a little bit of time here. I don't know if it's going to be
trying to break into a 6th place finish, and she does. Vetter drops 2 spots to 3rd. Emily Sweeney stays in the lead.
Looks like Andrea was still happy with that run, throwing her hands up.
Not a terrible run.
No, definitely not. I don't know if there just wasn't enough
paper
time.
cuts.
Yeah, exactly.
All the way down.
Things like that. A little bit high there, but nothing bad.
5 sleds remain here in the women's sprint event.
Nothing but Germans and Russians next for these next 5.
Jessica Thiebel on the line.
And I feel like now it goes without saying with another young German girl, or young German woman going on, and really being able to show up this year. Again, their program is so strong, and you know, they know what they can do. They know what they have to live up to. But I feel like for them, it's more of a challenge rather than a big something to be scared of.
Just 22 years old. Thiebel's been sliding for 15 years already.
See, she's a little bit high, and she definitely had some problems up there in 9-10. Just little skids, a little later into the curve, and then those upper flats really are going to do you in.
2018 Junior World Champion is through and down 4th place. Emily Sweeney now can do no worse than 5th.
They're definitely happy to move up more and more spots. Thiebel just lost too much there at the top. That right there, the rest of the track looked really good, but just with that, it being flat there up top, you're not able to do much.
Die ganze 9 gerutscht, die ganze 10 gerutscht.
She messed up all of 9, she messed up all of 10. 4 sleds remain on the handles from Germany. Julia Taubitz, the current World Cup leader.
Nice, strong, fluid start.
Not sure what happened there, middle of the track, 27.9 sliding in 4. Sweeney still holding on.
Taubitz is one that she's already been doing so well. She's doing well last year. She started out doing really well this year. I think she just wants to keep getting all the hard work she can.
She won the speed event in Lake Placid. The question is, does she have enough track in Whistler to win it here?
I'm not entirely sure what happened there up at the top. Something we couldn't see, something I didn't notice. Run's looking okay down low, but
beautiful line out of 16, but it's not enough. Emily Sweeney remains in the lead. Julia Taubitz drops behind teammate Cheyenne Rosenthal to 3rd.
Emily just moving up 5 in that ladder. You can see here there's a little bit of an offline there in 11-12, a little bit of a hard slap, nothing bad. She was able to maintain it. Might just have been something we couldn't see.
Sorry, honey. Yeah. Hey, you're still a champ.
Emily giving some pep talk to Dominic, it sounds like.
Pep talk also sounds like some trash talk somehow at the same time as we go to our medal hunt. Victoria Demchenko in the track.
Final 3 sleds. That is the fastest 3 sleds our medalists in today's World Cup here in Whistler.
Victoria been able to throw down some good times here this week. She's been doing really well in training. All the Russians have.
Does not have the same speed as our top speed that we saw from Andrea Vetter.
I think there are a lot of
tight race.
I think a lot of people are really having problems in 7, 8, 9, 10. Just those upper top parts is where it's flat.
This has been incredibly close. 132.6 kilometers an hour. She lays it back, but it's not enough. 3rd place for Victoria Demchenko. That means Emily Sweeney now is guaranteed at least a bronze.
Emily starting off this year very well. Already another bronze. It's always good to see. seemed a decent run from Victoria. I think there was just somewhere up there on the top that we couldn't see in 9-10. Just lost all of her time.
Track is clear for Hannah Berger from Sprint Stars.
2 sleds remain in the women's sprint race here in Whistler. From Germany, Anna Berger.
Anna with the silver yesterday. It was huge, always good. Again, another young German athlete just already getting medals.
It would be unfair to say out of nowhere because nothing is out of nowhere for a German. However, that was by far her best finish. Prior to that, 7th Eagles was her best. Clock starts, 69 kilometers an hour.
Anna is another one who has a fast start, which is going to be taken away a little bit here.
So if that was an advantage yesterday, it won't be as much of an advantage here. She's 500s back.
A little bit of rough there on 13, a little too early, a little high on the end. Not too bad, but yeah.
Nice line into 16, losing speed, 132.9. Beautiful line, but it's not enough. 4th place for Anna Berger of Germany. Emily Sweeney now in silver medal position. Cheyenne Rosenthal guaranteed a bronze. There's one more chance for Russia to medal, with 1 sled remaining.
Which is a good chance. Tatiana Ivanova up next.
Final sled, the women's sprint. The winner of yesterday's race, Tatiana Ivanova.
Tatiana with a strong start, strong slider. See right away, good speed.
9.2. Already in the green. Ivanova has a chance now to run with it. She's back in the red. This is going to be close.
How much? 200s. She's really going to have perfect from here on out if she's going to make up that time.
If anyone can do it, it's Tatiana Ivanova. She does not have the speed. 9,000ths of a second is going to decide this race. She's back in the green, and she does it by just 400ths. Tatiana Ivanova takes home a 2nd win for the weekend, just edging out American Emily Sweeney.
Yeah, that could have been from what we heard from Emily, that little bit of a skid there she had in the beginning of 16. That might have cost it for her. We don't know how much time it was or how bad it was, but
an incredibly tight race. Just 600 separate 1st from 3rd, and 3,000 separating 3rd from 4th. Victoria Demchenko just getting edged out of the medals.
Yeah, Tatiana Ivanova, that was a great 15-16. Really saved her there. It just allowed her to speed up all the way.
Well, from the days where Luge was Germany, Germany, Germany on every podium, this has been a very interesting weekend. Quite a shakeup.
Russia, USA, Germany. No, Emily will be happy with another medal. She gets to go on a nice vacation after this now. That was what she told herself.
No.
And definitely will be moving up in the overall standings.
Final results. The winner from today's race, Tatiana Ivanova, double win for the weekend. Emily Sweeney bumping up to 2nd position from her 7th place yesterday. Rounding out the medals, Cheyenne Rosenthal in 3rd from Germany. Julia Taubitz, the current World Cup leader, squeaking into 6th place there. Candia Apriod rounding out the top 10. And then on their home track, McKenna Hodgson and Carolyn Maxwell, 14th and 15th.
Definitely some good racing. Always good to see different people on the podium.
Oh, the World Cup leader bib has just been passed.
Tatiana takes it over.
We will see those updated standings momentarily.
My Instagram's boyfriend,
Tatiana Ivanova, the new holder of the golden bib, in 1st overall. Julia Taubitz dropping to 2nd place, just 17 points behind her. Emily Sweeney in 3rd place, Victoria Demchenko in 4th, Anna Bereiter in 5th. Summer Britcher still in 6th place despite missing the speed race today. Natalie Mogg rounding out the top 10 in points, and American Ashley Farquharson, 13th place. I hope I can get a thumbs up on her pronunciation.